All right, good morning, everybody. We are looking at IXL Skills E6 and E8, which is solving systems of two equations using substitution or elimination. We're going to start with substitution. Again, we have done this before. It is all in your notes, so if you want more examples, you can go back to your notes and look way back in semester 1. I think we did this in like September, so this is from a long time ago. Again, this stuff you will have to do some work, and whether or not you use handy dandy paper or maybe you're going to create your own little whiteboard using a sheet protector, then that's great. And definitely take your time and show your work, because when you take your time and make sure it's right, then it's IXL is going to go a lot faster. Remember, your goal is 85. Or about, 40 minutes maybe. If you're working longer than 40 or 45 minutes, that's plenty. That's totally fine. If it only takes you 10 minutes, fantastic. That's even better. But once you get to 85, you're good. If you want to get a higher score, that's totally up to you. 85 is a good score. So here we go. We're doing substitution, and most people call it substitution. And when I taught it, I said this is two-column substitution. So I'm going to do it just like I did way back in September. And the first step is to isolate the easy variable, the one that does not have a coefficient in front. It doesn't matter which equation it comes from. You just want to find the easy variable. Then we substitute it into the other equation, and you're going to plug that value back in to complete the circle. So I'm going to do it that way. And remember, as you're doing these notes, it's your choice if you want to do these notes. I think probably it's a helpful reminder. It's probably helpful to write them down so you can refer to them when you're doing the IXL. And you can always pause them and rewind, start over. So what I did is, to solve using substitution, is I went ahead and wrote the top equation in my first column and the second equation in my second column. And we want to isolate the easy variable. Well, guess what? There's a variable. It's already isolated. It is by itself. They have done the hard work for us. So there's my easy variable. It's already been isolated, and it says y is the same as -5. So we're going to take -5 and we're going to plug it in to the other equation. Where does it go? It's the same as y. So we're going to plug it in place of y. Remember, it is substituting. It is replacing. Replace the y. So we have -9x minus 10. Always a good idea to use parentheses when you substitute. And don't forget the rest of your equation. We have a product here, so we're going to multiply. -10 times -5 is +50. And then I can solve for x. So isolating x, we're going to move this 50 to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 50. 50 minus 50 is 0. I'm going to use my calculator because I can, and so can you. 14 minus 50 is -36. It's equal to -9x. And then to get x by itself, we're going to divide by -9. So we get x equals, and -36 divided by -9 is 4. Okay, I knew that answer. But you can use your calculator. Now we're not done, because a system has an x and a y. So we have to find both values. So normally we go back over here and say, okay, I'm going to plug the 4 back in. But there is no, because we know there's no place to plug in an x a value for x because this doesn't have an x. We know that the y is equal to -5. When you do your IXL, it has two little answer fields inside an ordered pair because it should be an ordered pair. So you want to type in your x value and then your y value in order. So alphabetical. So x is 4, so we're going to type in a 4, and y is -5 in the other field. And this is what you would put in an IXL. All right, letter B. Again, 2-column substitution. Y equals 2x plus 10, and y equals -x minus 8. First equation in the first column, second equation in the second column. It doesn't matter which column you start in. Your first job is to find an easy variable. Well, guess what? They're both pretty easy. I'm just going to go right here. Look, right there. That's a y. It's isolated. It is by itself. It is the easy variable. And we could have gone with either one of them. It wouldn't have really mattered. So it's totally easy already done for you. And so it says that y is the same as all of this stuff. And so we're going to go and substitute into the other equation in place of y, because 2x plus 10 is the same as the y. So we're going to replace the y with 2x plus 10. You'll notice I didn't use parentheses. If there was a number like a 2 in front, then I would want to do 2 times the quantity 2x plus 10, but it's just y, so I'm just putting in this whole expression. Now I have x's on both sides, so they need to get together. So I'm going to add x. 2 x's plus 1x is 3x. And now I got numbers here. They need to get together, so I'm going to move the 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. -8 and a -10 make -18. And divide to isolate the x. Get rid of the 3 by dividing. -18 divided by 3 is -6. So now we have a value for x. It says x is the same as -6. And we're going to go back over here and plug that in so that we have completed the circle. So in my equation, we have 2. In place of x, we now know that it has a value of -6. And I can add 10. We're going to multiply these two numbers together. 2 times -6 is -12 plus 10. -12 plus 10 is -2. So in my ordered pair, my x value is -6. My y value is -2. Remember, these have to be alphabetical when you type them in IXL. All right, we have one more substitution. This is more complicated. All right, so once again, I have 2 equations. -9x minus y equals -14 in the first column. -2x plus y equals 3 in the second column. And I want to find the easy variable. Where is the easy variable? When I look at these, this x is not easy because it has a -9 in front. The y is not so bad, but it does have a -1 in front, and that's okay. That's easy to get rid of if I wanted to. Over here, this is a 1y, and it's positive, so this is my easy variable. And so I want to isolate the easiest variable to be the easiest on myself. I want to get the y by itself, which means I want to get rid of the -2x. So we're going to take that and move him over. So we're going to add 2x to the right-hand side. So we get the y all by itself. Can I add these together? No. This has an x, this does not. They are not like terms. So we have 2x plus 3. They just get stuck next to each other. And so this says y is the same as 2x plus 3. So now we get to take this 2x plus 3 and go to this other column and replace the y with 2x plus 3. So we have negative 9x minus, it is a negative 1, but I'm just going to leave it as a negative. And in place of the y, I'm plugging in 2x plus 3. So instead of y, we are replacing it with 2x plus 3. Don't forget to write the rest of your equation. Now, this negative is affecting both terms here, so we do have to distribute that negative. And you can think about it like a negative 1. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Combining like terms, these both have x's. Those are like terms. A negative 9x and a negative 2x is a negative 11x. And here we have a negative 3. It wants to be over here with his friend, so I'm going to add 3 to both sides, do the opposite. So we have negative 11x equals negative 14, and a positive 3 is negative 11. I'm going to divide both sides so I can isolate my x, and I get x equals positive 1. Negative divided by negative is positive 1. Almost done. I have to complete my circle, and now that I have a value, I can plug it right back in right over there because it says x is the same as 1. So I have y equals 2, and instead of the x is really a 1. So we can go ahead and multiply. 2 times 1 is 2, plus the 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. In alphabetical order, we have x comma y, or 1 comma 5. That's it. That's substitution. Let's talk about elimination. Elimination is where we eliminate our variables. And you can see these are a little more complicated looking. Like when I look at these numbers, I don't have what I would call an easy variable. Over here, that's an easy variable, so we could use substitution with this problem. But they do want you to use elimination. I don't care what method you use. They're both wonderful methods. So for elimination, your goal is to get opposite variables. So you want to see like a positive 7 and a negative 7y, or positive 3x and negative 3x. Opposites means opposite signs. And we can do that by multiplying or dividing. Multiplying or dividing an equation by anything you want. You can multiply it by any number you want as long as you multiply every single term. So I'm looking at these y's, and I have a positive 3y and a positive 3y. Those variables match. They have the same number in front. Check. That's one thing I want. I want those coefficients to match, but I need them to have opposite signs. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply this bottom equation by a negative 1. And that way, it'll change all my signs. So my top equation is going to stay the same. 7x plus 3y equals 18. My bottom equation, I'm multiplying every single term by negative 1. Negative 1 times 5x is negative 5x. Negative 1 times 3y is negative 3y. And negative 1 times 12 is negative 12. And so now you can see we have opposites, positive 3y and negative 3y. Those are opposites, and that's what we wanted. So now I can combine. So once we have opposites, now we get to combine our equation. And so we can see what happens here. 7x's with a negative 5x gives us 2 x's. Positive 3y and negative 3y is 0. It adds to be 0. So we've eliminated it, which is really, really cool. And then 18 and negative 12 is 6. And this is a super easy equation that we can solve for x. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2. So we get x equals 3. Now, we're not done because we still have to figure out a y. So we're going to take either equation, top or bottom, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go with the bottom equation because the numbers are smaller. And I'm going to substitute in my value of 3. So I have 5. And then in place of the x, I'm plugging in our 3 value. Plus 3y equals 12. So 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3y equals 12. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 15 from both sides. So I get 3y equals 12 minus 15 is negative 3. And I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 3. So I get y equals negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. And so my ordered pair would be 3, negative 1. X comma y when you use your IXL. Okay, that's a really good problem. Again, you want to get opposites, then you're going to combine, and then you're going to substitute. All right, opposites, combine, substitute. So same idea over here. 2x plus y equals negative 5. 8x plus 6y equals negative 14. I'm looking at numbers. You can multiply an equation or both equations. It doesn't matter. And you can use different numbers if you wanted to. But when I look here, 2 and 8 are what I would call friendly. And so I think what I can do is easily change this 2 into an 8 by simply multiplying by 4. If I multiply by 4, then I would have an 8x and an 8x. Well, I need them to be opposites. So I'm actually going to multiply the top equation through by negative 4. That way I'm going to get a negative 8x. And down here we have the positive 8x. Cool. Let's do that. We're going to go ahead and multiply through by negative 4. And you could multiply both equations if you needed to. If you didn't have any sort of friendly numbers, you could multiply the top by 5 and the bottom by 7 to get the lowest common multiple. Negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times y is negative 4y. And negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. Please remember to multiply every single term. And I'm not changing my bottom equation for this particular problem, but maybe you change both. So I'm just going to rewrite that equation, and now I can combine. Negative 8x and positive 8x is 0. That goes away. It's eliminated. Okay, negative 4y plus 6y is 2y. And 20 minus 14 is 6. I'm going to go ahead and isolate y by dividing by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And now I can go and I'm going to substitute this value of 3 into the top or the bottom equation. It doesn't matter. And it looks like this is the easy one right here. So I'm just going to plug it in right there. 2x. And instead of the y, we're plugging in a 3 equals negative 5. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 3 from both sides. So 2x equals negative 8. And then divide by 2. So you get x equals negative 4. So ordered pairs here, negative 4, 3. So we took this equation and substituted. And again, it doesn't matter which equation you use, top or bottom, whatever seems easiest to you, it's your choice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, elimination and substitution are 2 of the most essential skills that we do in math. So I'm really glad you're reviewing it. Take your time, really think through how you're doing stuff. and you should be able to do E6 and E8.